Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So, in today's video, what I'm going to be doing is my December reading wrap up. So these are all the books that I read in December 2024. I will probably do the physical books first and then the Kindle books after. These aren't in any particular order, they're just the books I read in December basically. So I did read 20 books in the month of December. That is a lot of books. I have been at home with an injury, so that could be why I read so many. I haven't done much else. But yeah, 20 books. I'm really, really happy with that. It's such a good reading month, and I did read some really good books during that time. So let's get into it. So I'm going to start with my physical books first, then the Kindle books. And in December, I did decide to reread I Haven't Been Entirely Honest with You by Miranda Hart. I did listen to the audiobook of this because Miranda herself reads it, and I thought it'd be nice to listen to her tell her own story. And it talks about her struggles with her chronic illness and how she's overcoming them, and it's pretty inspirational, to be honest, with sprinkles of Miranda Hart comedy throughout. But yeah, I did really enjoy this first time round, and I thought I would listen to the audiobook, so I listened to this one. It was really good. If you like Miranda Hart, if you like that sort of stuff, like I say, it did have a really inspirational side to it, so if you are looking for more inspirational books this year, definitely give this one a read. But yeah, this one was really good. Another book I read in December was The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J Maas. I am slowly making my way through this Throne of Glass series. I'll be honest, I thought it started a bit slow, but I did like this book because it's broken up into 4 short stories. I think it's 4. It's not 4, it's 5. It says on the back it's 5 novellas. And I really enjoyed this because it gives you an insight to Selena's life before the other books, if that makes sense. I did read this one third in the series. I know there are different ways you can read the series, but I chose to read this one third. And I really liked it that way because you're just starting to get to know the characters, and then I feel like this gives you a better understanding of them, if that makes sense. So that one I gave a 3 out of 5 stars. Yeah, like I say, it's just some short stories. It was really good, and I liked it. So the next book sort of leads into a series, and it is The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. So in December, I didn't only read The Inheritance Games, but I also read The Hawthorne Legacy, The Final Gambit, and The Brothers Hawthorne. I read all 4 of these during the month of December. I picked this one up just on a bit of a whim because I wanted something quite fast paced, something I was going to get through quite quickly. I'd read some heavy books in November and I wanted something a bit more light-hearted, and I thought this might be it. I did not expect to love this as much as I did. This series was my favourite series I read in the entirety of 2024. It was so good. I was completely shocked with how much I did love this. I'd heard it was really good online, but sometimes I find when things are overhyped, they don't end up being that great, if that makes sense. But this series definitely lived up to its expectations. You basically follow the Hawthorne brothers and Avery. Avery was just an ordinary girl, but she goes to school one day and gets called to the principal's office, and she realises that she's inherited this massive fortune that should have belonged to the Hawthorne brothers, but their grandfather gave everything to her, and it's basically a mystery as to why he left everything to her. And you sort of follow them along on the story, and them all making friends and becoming like a family in their own right, if that makes sense. But it's such a good series. I am so excited for Games Untold to come out on paperback. I am waiting for that now because I really want to read it. I might have to get it on my Kindle and just buy the book for a shelf trophy afterwards because I really need to know where the series goes next. It was so good. There's a lot of twists in it, there's a lot of puzzles in it. It keeps your brain thinking, and I liked that about it. It was just really well written. and I loved it. I'd never read Jennifer Lynn Barnes books before this, and I was really pleasantly surprised. So I'm going to read a lot more of her stuff this year. She has got the Natural series on Kindle Unlimited at the moment, so I'm going to be reading that one soon. But yeah, this book series was absolutely amazing, and I loved every second of it. I didn't want to put it down, and it was brilliant, basically. So definitely get your hands on these if you haven't already. Definitely read them because they're amazing. I think I rated all of these ones 5 stars, except for the Brothers Hawthorne. I think that one was a 4 stars, but I still did really love it. So these were all really high rated books. So yeah, there's those. During December, obviously Christmas happens. So I wanted to read some Christmassy books. So I bought this copy of A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, and it was just so pretty. And I saw it online and I wanted to buy this. So I read this during December. It does say "Humbug, I tell you" on the back. And I read this. I have read it before, but I want to get into classics a bit more, so I decided to read it again. And I think I rated this one a 4 out of 5 stars. It is a very well known story. It's very well loved for a reason. It is really good, and there's not a lot more I can say on it really. It's a Christmas classic. We follow Scrooge, and he gets visited by the three ghosts: Christmas past, Christmas present, and Christmas future. And he basically turns from this stingy old mean man into somebody that loves Christmas and loves being around people, and it is just a really good story. So yeah, there's not really a lot more I can say on that. But yeah, I loved it. 4 out of 5 stars. Then the last physical book I read during December was The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. And I have seen a lot about this again online. I've had it on my shelf since January. I bought it in January, but I've been sort of worried to read it. I was worried it wouldn't live up to the hype. It definitely did. This was one of my favourite books of the year. It was absolutely brilliant, and I cried at the end because it is so sad. You get so involved with the characters. The writing is absolutely beautiful, and it was absolutely amazing. It is set in Germany during the war. So we follow this girl, Liesel, and it's basically her life. She's adopted by a German family, and we later find out that her family have been sent away to a camp by the Germans. And that's why she's living with this German family. And it's sort of her life throughout the war and navigating new friendships, her relationships to the different people in the village. They help some Jewish people. There's a couple of points in this that are absolutely heart wrenching. You do get really involved with the characters, and if you have any interest in historical fiction, definitely give this a read. And like I say, I don't want to say too much because of giving it away, but it was so good, and also heartbreaking. But yeah, anyway, moving on. Now onto my Kindle books. I did read the Under the Mistletoe collection. So it was 5 books on Kindle Unlimited. They were all novellas, and they were Christmassy romances written by different authors. So they were Cruel Winter with You by Ali Hazelwood, Merry Ever After by Tessa Bailey, All by My Elf by Olivia Dade, Merriment and Mayhem by Alexandria Bellefleur, and Only Santa's in the Building by Alexis Daria. And I've rated them all different things, basically, from a 1 star to a 4 star. I think it was the Ali Hazelwood one that I rated the 4 star. They were very heavy on the smut, I'll be honest. That's not my cup of tea. I know a lot of people like that, but it's not something I look for in a book, really. It's not something that determines whether I'd read a book or not. I found them very heavy on that. So if that's your sort of thing, you might really enjoy them, but I just found them a bit too much, to be honest. They just didn't seem to have a lot of plot. It just seemed to be all smut, which was a shame because I really wanted to love them. They just didn't hit for me, to be honest, which was a shame, but not everything's for everybody, and that's okay. So, yeah, that's what I thought of them. And the next book I read on my Kindle was The Housemaid's Wedding by Frida McFadden, and I rated this one a 3 out of 5 stars. I love Frida McFadden books. I read them quite often. I find they tend to get me out of reading slumps quite a lot, so I'll read them if I can feel myself getting a bit bored with stuff. But I'll be honest, I feel like this Housemaid series is being dragged on a little bit too much now. I don't feel the novella was necessary. It was good, but I just don't think it was necessary. Like I say, we didn't need it, but it was there and I read it and it was okay. So it follows the main character Millie, and it basically goes through when her and Enzo get married and they have a bit of trouble along the way. I won't say too much because I'm ruining it for you. There was a few twists and turns, but I just didn't find it as gripping as her usual books, if that makes sense. But yeah, there's not a lot else I can say on it. It was good. If you like the series, then it might be worth picking up. But yeah, there's that one. I then read The Christmas Fix by Lucy Score, which I found a little bit boring, to be honest. I think I rated it a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. Some bits were really good, some bits I found quite boring. I found the same thing with the first book in the series, Mr. Fixer Upper, I think that one was called. But yeah, it's basically about these two characters that work on a building site and it's all filmed for the TV and they fall in love. But obviously, it's not that straightforward, but it does lead on from the first book. There is things that happen in the first book that lead on to the second book, so I do recommend reading the first book first if you do want to read this one. But yeah, it was okay. It was a nice Christmas romance. It was more a romance with a Christmassy element to it. It weren't very heavily Christmas based, if that makes sense. So you don't necessarily need to read it at Christmas time. You can read it all year round. But yeah, that one was okay. Like I say, I think I rated that one a 3 out of 5 stars. But yeah, not a lot else I can say on that one. So I also read The Christmas Bookshop and Midnight at the Christmas Bookshop by Jenny Colgan, and they basically follow the story of this woman that sort of moves in with a sister in Edinburgh and ends up working for this man in this bookshop, and she has to turn it around. It's losing a lot of money and she has to turn it around by Christmas and save the bookshop. And she meets this man that works at Edinburgh University and they have a bit of a romance. And then in the second book, she has to win her love interest back. It was quite a nice holiday read. It did have a lot of Christmassy feels to it, which was nice. It was good for the time of year. I did quite enjoy it. I was getting a bit sick of Christmas books by this point though. I will honestly say that. So I was getting into a bit of a slump. I think I rated the first one a 3 stars and the second one a 2 stars. That might have been higher if I weren't so bored of Christmas books by this point. So I might reread them at a later date. But they were really good, they were quite cosy. If you want a cozy Christmas read, maybe for next Christmas, then maybe think about them ones. They were really good. I also read 25 Days by Per Jacobson. I think that's how you say it. And it's basically a thriller book, but it has 25 chapters and it's set up like an advent calendar, if that makes sense. So you read one chapter every day of December from the 1st up to the 25th. And each chapter leads you to the end of the book, obviously, but in a way that's set up like an advent calendar. I don't know if I'm describing this very well, but basically you read a chapter a day and you get a chapter every single day between the 1st of December and the 25th of December. It was really good. I do like a thriller anyway. Some of the chapters were quite short, some of them were quite long, but it just gave me something to look forward to every day, if that makes sense. You wanted to find out what happened next, so you looked forward to reading each chapter each day. I thought it was a really good idea, and I thought it was a really nice idea for book lovers to be able to read a chapter every day in the month of December. The story basically follows this family of 4 that go on holiday over Christmas, and they go into this log cabin type thing, and they get snowed in, and these creepy things keep happening. There's a stocking that gets left, and it has different items in it each day, and it sort of escalates from there. I don't want to say too much because with a thriller, if I talk too much, I'll probably ruin it for you. But it was a really clever idea. I did really enjoy it. I think I rated that one a 3 stars on Goodreads too. There was a lot of 3-star books in December. But yeah, like I say, it was a really clever idea, a really good concept, and if you want a chapter every day in December, it's a really good book to read. I also listened to the audiobook of Is It Just Me by Miranda Hart, I listened to I Haven't Been Entirely Honest With You first and really liked listening to Miranda read her own work, so I went on to listen to this one too. It was really funny, it was really witty, and it's basically Miranda talking to her 18-year-old self and talking about the things she's learned from 18 to 38, I think she was when she wrote this book. So it was talking about the differences in her life and what she thought she would be doing and what she is actually doing and things like that. And I just thought it was a really nice book. It was really funny in places, it really made me laugh, and I love Miranda anyway, so I knew I was going to like it, but it was just a really nice one to listen to. Then, last but not least, this is the last book I read in 2024, and it was The London Seance Society by Sarah Penner. I read The Lost Apothecary in 2023 by the same author, and I really enjoyed it, so I pre-ordered this one. But this one just didn't hit the same somehow. So we follow this female main character. She's lost her sister, and she's looking into the art of seance because her sister was really interested in that. She wants to find out what happened to her sister, and she works with this woman who was her sister's mentor, and they go to this seance society in London to perform a seance for a man that work with the society, and they discover loads of different things. Basically, they discover that this society isn't necessarily what they say they are. They're committing a lot of fraud. Basically, it's not all true, and a lot of it is just parlor tricks, I think is the term that's used in the book. And it had the potential to be really, really good. It's the sort of thing I would love normally. I rated it a 2 out of 5 stars. It did fall a bit flat for me, unfortunately. I don't know whether it was because I was in a bit of a slump from reading all the Christmas books or what, but I just didn't find it hit as good as the first book that I read of hers. But yeah, it was a shame. I really wanted to love it, but it just wasn't as good as I'd hoped. But the idea of it was nice, the concept was good, and I quite liked the ending as well. It was sort of a good triumphs over evil sort of situation. But yeah, that was that one. So yeah, they were the 20 books I read in December and what I thought about them. So that is the end of today's video. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, please like, comment and subscribe underneath, and I will see you all again next week.